Recording in progress. Okay, so let's get started on some QiGong. All right, breath work. Let's start with, we'll do, since it's actually a little cool here, I thought we'd do some lower abdominal breathing and then do a little fanning the fire, which is that the breath that's really focused on the exhale and it generates just a little bit of internal heat. So we'll start with the hands, one on top of the other, below the belly button. And we'll just take a few rounds of breath, just bringing our attention to where we are right now. Maybe do a quick scan, how you're doing. It's been really damp, so I've had a lot of people coming in with sort of more cranky joints and feeling really heavy, especially in the head, neck, and shoulders. So let's just take a moment, make sure that we're letting the shoulders drop down, create a little bit of space, maybe take off a little bit of the emotional backpack weight that we might be carrying. In Chinese medicine, we're entering into the late summer season is really what's associated with earth. Like when things are in the garden and outside are coming to full ripening, just before the fall where things start decaying. It's like that transition point, right? Where everything's at its height. It's really kind of sweet smelling, almost a little too sweet outside, if you know what I'm talking about, that kind of real sweet, earthy smell. And oftentimes there's a lot of humidity in the air. It's wetter. And we call it internally, we can call it damp summer heat climate wise internally. And that's sort of when things are a little bit more sluggish. It's very heavy feeling, and sometimes that translates to more kind of heavy joints, feeling a little bit more lethargic. So we're going to use today's class just to gently start mobilizing things, helping to transform some of the internal water that might be getting a little sluggy, almost like a pond. Let's start with fire breath. So fire breath is the breath where, as we normally do in our breathing exercises, it's slow inhale and a nice slow exhale. Fire breathing is different because it's a forceful exhale. And when we exhale, you'll feel the belly pull in towards the spine. And then the inhale becomes a little bit more passive. So if we kind of force, almost like you're blowing out candles. So take a nice passive inhale, a nice slow inhale, and then the exhale is out through the mouth. So inhale slightly through the nose and then exhaling through the mouth. And you feel your belly pull in. Just imagine that you're trying to blow out this big, gigantic cake full of candles. And then start to slow down. You might feel a little lightheaded even. It's a real, it's a forceful breath. So it's the more activating breath. We're pulling in a lot of oxygen. And then we'll take a few rounds of slow breathing in and out through the nose just to balance that out a bit. You can also think of this breath if you have ever had a pool or known someone that has a pool. when the filter is not running, things in the water become a little bit kind of stagnant and maybe even murky over time. And then once you get that thing going, that bubbling, it starts to generate some energy and start circulating and things get cleared out. That's essentially what we're doing with fire breath. So let's do that one more time. So again, nice inhale through the nose, soft inhale through the nose, and then forceful exhale. And start to slow down again. And then we'll drop the arms down and let's go into spinal cord opening exercises. So knocking on the door of life, turning from the hips and the waist, keeping those arms nice and relaxed. Just think of little raggedy and ragdoll arms. And you're just turning from the hips and the waist, allowing a little bit of, we'll call it acupressure, right? As we knock across the lower back and the abdomen. And then let's come up below the collarbone. And then all the way up to the top of the shoulders. And let's come back down. And then back down to the waist. And then let's release, go into water waves. And then let's slow down and come to stillness for a moment. And then let's do a little bit of spiral hands and opening up the space in the forearms and the wrist. Because of all this dampness, like I was saying, not only are people really complaining about their head, neck, and shoulders being a little bit achy, but also more carpal tunnel-y situations are happening. So let's just take a moment and we start rotating the wrists. You can open up the fingers, spread the fingers wide, and just make small circles with your wrists. And getting all into the wrist joint, just helping to start circulating some energy, some blood, getting some blood flow. Spreading the fingers just helps open up just a little bit more. You might feel a little stretch to the palms. And then let's go in the opposite direction. Especially if you've been on the phones, our phones for long periods of time, the text thumb. The thumb gets a little bit more work than some of the other fingers. So just really opening up the space between the thumb and the index finger. And then let's take our palms facing up and let's just shake into the wrists now. Just think of opening up the inner arms here. Interestingly, one of the late pregnancy symptoms is carpal tunnel, having pain in the inner wrist area. And they're not 100% sure exactly why, but they think it's because the fluid levels of a pregnant person go up tremendously. And especially towards the end of pregnancy, this whole area, there's just so much fluid, it starts compressing the sheath that runs sort of perpendicular um, or lateral, I should say, to the hands. Um, and it causes restriction and pain. And then let's have the palms facing down and shake. So now we're opening up the outer forearms. So that means it's a very specific physiological condition that people experience temporarily, usually in pregnancy, but that's also what we're talking about, mobilizing this like internal dampness. There's this sort of like sludgy stuff that might settle into, especially the joints, and doing things to help move the fluid around those joints and help to increase circulation. Okay, and then just drop down for a moment, close your eyes, just letting yourself feel that energy running down the inner arms into your fingertips, right? That's improving that flow of energy. We can actually feel it and sense it. And now from here, let's just open up the spine a little bit more with spinal cord breathing. So inhale, looking up, nice loose wrists. Exhale, rounding forward, nice loose wrists. Inhale, open up this front of the chest, and then exhale, tucking the chin down, opening up all the way into the space between the shoulder blades, up into the neck. And inhale. Because of all of this dampness and feeling sort of heavy in the shoulders, the head, and the neck, headaches have also been on the increase. So by helping to loosen up these spaces, right, we're loosening up the muscles, relieving some tension. So you might even find that you've been having more headaches frequently. Exercises that help to increase circulation to the shoulders and the head and the neck can help. And let's do one more inhale. And then drop your arms down. So let's go into a wider stance. So we're going to be doing a little work on opening up the side of the rib cage. So this I haven't done for a while and I really love it. So what we're going to be doing is kind of focusing on moving things in opposite directions, opposing forces, the yin and the yang. So we're going to take your right hand and you're just going to snake it like diagonally across your body. So you're reaching towards your left knee, and then you're going to take your left arm and you're going to reach it in the opposite direction towards the corner of the room. And then imagine that you're trying to press those fingertips away from one another. So you get a nice stretch through the side of the rib cage here. And don't forget to breathe. And then what we're going to do is windmill. So we're going to change the direction. So we're going to come to center, then windmill your arms. So now your right hand is above, and you're going to reach again towards the corner of the room, and then your left hand reaches down towards the right knee. So you're moving in opposite. Just imagine that you're trying to push those hands away from one another at a diagonal. And now you're opening up the side of the right rib cage. And then take a few rounds of breath here, allowing the space to open up, and relax your head, right? Just kind of maybe do a head circle. Just make sure you're not holding your shoulders too rigidly. So you're going to relax the shoulders as you're pressing away. Now we'll move on the breath. So inhale, Come up as we windmill, and then exhale, pushing away from one another. And then slowly come to the center as we inhale and exhale. And then inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. As we inhale and come to the center, you can even take the bend a little bit out of the knees, just rising up slightly. And then as we exhale, coming back into our bend. And then inhale. So we're moving those arms in opposite directions, creating that space, right, for elongation. Also good for the brain, right? Working right and left, moving in different opposing directions. And let's do one more. Those legs probably starting to feel a little tired. It's okay. Now take the bend out, come to the center for a moment. Even wiggle your legs, shake your legs. And then come back into a bend and keeping your hands on your thighs. Let's drop the right shoulder down. So we're going into a twist here. Right shoulder drops down. You're going to look over your left shoulder. Let's just pause here for a moment. Nice inhale. See if you can stretch your head towards the front of the room, your tailbone towards the back. So pretend you can create all the space. And then on the exhale, going back into the twist. And now come to the center on the inhale and then exhale, dropping the left shoulder down, looking over the right. Using that metaphor of the internal swamp pond, right? Think about like an old sponge now. An old sponge sitting there. The last person that used it didn't wring it out. So it's a little bit kind of smelly and moldy because it's pretty wet. Just think that we're now just wringing the sponge out. Getting rid of all of that gunk. Now inhale, come to the center, and we'll work a few rounds on the breath. So exhale, dropping your right shoulder down. Inhale to the center. Exhale, left shoulder drops. Working that twist, allowing the spine, right? A little gentle compression so that when we come out, all of this wonderful new fresh blood, cerebral spinal fluid can come in and circulate. And now this time, come to the center, and then we'll just let our heads come all the way forward. You can, again, keep your hands either on your thighs, or you can drop your hands to the floor, focusing on letting your head relax. And then very slowly grab one wrist with the opposite hand and roll slowly all the way up. Extend the arms up and then come back down. Okay, let's see if we have time to do, yes, we'll do a little lunge and flow before we go into our flows. So we're going to keep a wider stance for now. You're going to turn your right foot so it's facing the right side of the room and bend that right knee. So your back leg is straight, and then we'll come up into a warrior position. Okay, and now as we go through this lunge and flow, just think about your arms. As we go, basically we're transitioning from coming to straight legs and going into the bent knee. Straight legs and then bent knee. But I want to focus on having some lightness through the arms. Just think of your arms as like either feathers or you're moving through water. So there's this lightness. So we're going to start with the arms out as we're bending that front knee and look down. Make sure your knee is not falling in, collapsing in towards your inner foot or towards your outer foot. You really want to have your knees pointing in the same direction as your toes. And that back leg is nice and straight. So you get a little bit of a stretch through the inner thighs here. And the arms float out. Now, as we inhale, straighten that front leg and bring your hands to the center of the chest. And as we exhale, float the arms out. And then inhale back to the center. And then floating out. Inhale to the center. As the arms float out, you can turn and look over just past the middle finger. And then inhale back to the center. Nice and slow. We just ooze our way out into the warrior stance and then slowly inhale back to the center. And think about also releasing the shoulders down. Now let's inhale to the center. You can bring that foot forward so both feet are facing towards the front of the room. Let's connect back to the breath. So opening heart to the sky on the inhale and then exhale. Chin tucks down. And inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, so now let's turn. So our left foot is facing the left side of the room. Make sure that knee is looking and tracking directly over the toes. Bending the front leg, back leg is nice and straight. Just think about pressing in through all four corners of that back foot so your foot's not sick, what's the word looking, buckling. And then inhale the arms out to the sides. And a nice slow inhale as we straighten that front leg, bringing in the hands to the center of the chest, and then exhale. Inhale and exhale. Just floating out and then floating back in. So this is a very strong, there's a strong connotation, right? A warrior, strong pose, especially in the legs. But think about the opposing that, right? Is this lightness. We have strength, but flexibility, right? That yin and the yang in balance, right? We contract in, pull in, and then we float out. And let's do one more. Come back to the center now, feet forward, and then connecting to the heart and the breath. Inhale and look up. Exhale down. Okay. Now let's bring our feet back to inner hip distance or outer hip distance, and let's shake everything out before we go into our flows. And start to slow down. So we're going to start off our flows with flying. Then we'll add on an additional component. So there will be basically a combination of two. But let's start with the arms, since we're working a lot with opening up the forearms, the wrists, and the hands. We'll go into flying. So on the inhale, the arms float up to about shoulder height, and then elbows drop down, and the hands float back down. Inhaling. And exhale. Think about inhaling, you're just filling up big balloon, and your arms are just resting on top of the balloon as the inhale comes in, and then as we exhale, that balloon deflates slightly and the arms float back down. So flying, thinking of ourselves as this regal bird, gently rising up through the sky. These real powerful wings, just like warrior, right? These big, powerful muscles that are working, but then there's this floaty relaxation that's integrated. So it looks almost peaceful. Allowing softness through the wrist, through the hands, maybe even putting some awareness on the inhale in the back of the hands as we inhale up, and then our awareness in the palms as we come down and as we're moving through the space. What does that actually feel like? What does it feel like our skin through our fingertips? becoming aware more of that subtle energy around us. Just like we can't see wind, but we can see the trees rustling, or a little piece of newspaper getting caught in the wind as it floats and rises up and down. Like we don't see the wind, but we see the interaction of that energy with an object. So think about moving through the space as a field. And then on the next exhale, let's bring our arms down and let's hold our chi ball for a moment before we continue on. And then let's drop our hands down for a moment so that they're just resting anywhere on your upper thighs. So we're going to be integrating flying with this next movement. We'll do this next movement in isolation first, though. So this is wave, a certain type of wave flow, where we start with the chin. So I'm going to jut your chin forward, and then you're going to come forward. I'll turn sideways so you can see me. You're going to come forward, and as we come down, the chin tucks in, and then we roll all the way back up. So we do this sort of rolling of the spine, starting with the chin coming forward, rounding, and then unfurling. Going to come forward, chin reaches forward and then tucks in, and we roll all the way up. Keeping your hands in the upper thighs. So the exhale as we come forward, and then inhales, we roll all the way up. Really great for the central nervous system. Letting the shoulders relax down. So as we extend the chin forward and tuck in, be careful not to start shrugging your shoulders up. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed and melting downward. And then one more. So we are going to integrate those two. So what does that look like? We're going to extend the chin forward, and as we roll up, you're going to open up the arms like you're flying as we roll all the way up. And as we come forward, the chin reaches forward, the arms float back down. So we're not actually touching our hands to our thighs now. We're just pulsing the arms up and then letting them float back down on the exhale. So we're still rolling the spine all the way up. The arms come out, elbows drop as the chin comes forward, and we allow the arms to come back down. I'll turn sideways again so you can see me. We're rolling up, arms come up, elbows drop, chin tucks or extends out, excuse me, and then tucks in and we roll back up. And let's do one more inhale. And then exhale, let's just bring our hands back into our chi ball for a moment before we move on. Okay, so this next flow is a little bit of that working the right and left simultaneously. So we'll go slow. We're going to step forward with your right foot. So your feet are staggered. You can even kind of sneak your right foot a little further over so that you have a nice, maybe foot or two space between the feet and that they're staggered. And you're going to take your right hand, so your arm is down, and then just circle it out and then bring it right perpendicular, right in front of the face. Okay. So we'll just do that again, just the arm movement. So you're making a big circle and then you're coming so that your arm is perpendicular to the ground right in front of your face. And again, so you're going to inhale. Now this time, we're going to make that same circle, come to that same position. Now shift the weight to the back foot and you're going to turn towards that foot, keeping that arm in front of you all the way. And then you're going to push towards the back of the room. So your right arm is extended towards the back of the room. Now take your left arm and make that same type of circle out and then come perpendicular to the face now. Now shift the weight towards the front foot and then turn and push towards the front of the room. So it's the same start. So we're going to take the right arm now and make a big circle. So your weight is towards the front foot. And then as we shift towards the back foot, you're just going to turn and then push your right arm towards the back of the room. Now make a big circle with the left arm. And then shift the weight towards the front foot. You're going to turn. And now the left arm pushes towards the front of the room. You're just making these circles, one arm at a time, shifting the weight, and then turning and pushing that arm towards the back of the room. And then we change. So the opposite arm comes around into the center, shift towards the front foot, and then turn and push. So circle the arm, shift the weight, turn, and then gently push towards the back of the room. And then circle the left arm around, shift the weight, turn, and then press. And then see if we can sort of smooth out those edges. So we're just turning. It's a push and turn. So inhale as we round, circle the arms, and then turn, and then exhale as we push. Then good. Inhaling, we're gathering, changing the weight to the back foot, and then pushing. Moving nice and slowly. With intention, gathering as we inhale, and then exhale as we push. One more on this side. Gather and then come to the center. Let's bring that back foot up so that both feet are in alignment for one another. And now this time, you're going to step forward with your left foot. And again, just make sure there's enough space in between your feet, front and back and left and right. So now that your left knee is in front, we start with the left arm. Okay, circle that left arm around and then come to the center. We'll do that a couple of times. Inhale. And then inhale. Now this time, shift the weight to the back foot. You're going to turn to the right. And then, excuse me, your left arm comes across and pushes back. Now the right arm circles out in the center. Shift the weight to the front foot. Turn and push. Gather. Weight shift. Turn and push. And then inhale. Gathering our resources, coming to our center, and then we're able to move forward with power and attention, intention. We're gathering, turning, pushing, and gathering, weight shift, and push. Really great for the body, the emotional center, and the brain. And let's do one more. We push back. And this time, as we inhale, let's bring that back foot forward so that we're back in our neutral position. And then let's bring our hands into that chi ball before we end the class with centering. Just feeling that constant interchanging of yin and yang, right? Nothing's purely one or the other. They are interchanging all the time, right? Day becomes night, night becomes day. Summer becomes fall, then winter, and then spring and summer again. So this sort of ever-changing, ever-present fluctuation happens internally as well. So how we use our attention and our movements, our thoughts to help facilitate a harmonious transition in whatever our day brings, our life brings, especially in the more turbulent times. Let's bring the arms down and then inhale the right arm out to the side, coming right above the head, and then exhale back down. And now the left, inhale and exhale. And inhale. One more to each side. Inhale. Exhale, and then inhale, bringing the feet together. Exhaling, let's bring our hands below our belly button. And just give ourselves this last moment of integration before we continue on into our day. And when you're ready, you can crack your eyes open. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day and great weekend. Stay dry. Hopefully everyone's homes are okay and where you live. I know that there's supposed to be some really heavy rain, so hopefully everyone's safe and well, and try to stay dry. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Erin.
Take care.